So today I am going to be talking about Candy Cane Lane, okay? The movie that has Tracy Ellis Ross and Eddie Murphy, okay? Nice, fun family Christmas movie. But before we get into this, don't forget to leave a comment down below and also like and subscribe. Now, let's get into this spoiler review, okay? So, obviously, like I said, the movie is called Candy Cane Lane. Now, I'm going to give you all a synopsis, okay? And it's as simple as this. It says, a man makes a deal with the mischievous elf who casts a magical spell that brings the 12 days of Christmas to life, okay? I mean, that's pretty much what it is, okay? I'm gonna be real. I enjoyed this movie, but we're gonna get into our scene by scene kind of spoiler discussion, okay? So, first off, it looks like these people are in California or something like that, and they're celebrating Christmas. Okay, that's how it starts off. So, there's no snow, it's just dry. So, you have people who just put up their Christmas lights and all that. You see all the people in their homes where they got the lights, you got the blow up, the blow up stuff and whatnot. And then you go to our main character, Eddie Murphy, who is Chris Carver up here, and his family, and his house is just decked out with wood carvings of Christmas decorations. Okay. So I thought it was interesting, and it's all just brown, okay? So there's no real color, it doesn't look fun. It's cool, the craftsmanship is amazing, but it doesn't look fun. Okay, but it's just a whole bunch of just wood carvings all over the place. Okay, then you see him and his neighbors, this white dude that pops up, and they're that typical trope neighbor bickering kind of thing that's going on. Okay, so Eddie goes and says, he has a line that says, "You're still blowing up dolls," right? So obviously we know what that can insinuate as well. So he said, "You're obviously still blowing up dolls," and the neighbor says, "We're a family that blows." So okay. So then we cut to a scene inside the house with our main family, where we have Joy, we have Holly, Carol, Chris, and Nick. These are the family members. Okay, so in this scene, you have the daughter who she's saying that she wants to go to Notre Dame. Okay, the family, they're all like, "Fight on!" No. And they want to have her go to USC. Okay, they want her to go there. She's like, "Nah, whatever." Okay, then the sister throws some shade. He's like, "Yeah, you need to go to this school so you could be right by home, only 20 minutes away." And she was like, "Well, how's your math?" And he was like, "Okay." So obviously it's insinuating that he's flunking out of math. It's not really a big plot point. Okay, it's one of those things where it's just kind of like, okay, they're gonna put it in there, then they're gonna mention it later, but it's nothing really big. Okay, so then we skip to another scene where Eddie Murphy, his character is Chris Carver. Okay, he's singing "This Christmas," will be all that while he's heading to work. So when he gets to work, there is this boss, black dude, Mr. Suave, look like he trying to be a model, got the beard game going, got the whole, one of these dudes. He's over here being an a-hole for no reason. He's over here licking his lip like Ella Cool J. He's like, Chris, I'm sorry, I gotta tell you, but we're gonna fire you today. I'm like, what's boy bye. You didn't have to do all this, okay? You could just say, we laying you off, but you doing all that, licking your lips like Ella Cool J. Too much, okay? So then he's like, "Oh, as a parting gift, here's a fleece." And he just throws on the table. I was like, "Okay, dude." We would have had some words if you would have treated me like that, but whatever. But yeah, he was just being a whole douchebag for no reason. So he goes and says, "Okay, Chris, you're laid off, you're fired, bye," and that was it. I'm like, okay. So Chris goes to his office. He goes and calls his wife, and he's like, he's about to tell her, "Yo, I got fired," or whatever. And she's over here like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a promotion. Oh, I just talked to him, and I hope I get a promotion." And he was like, "Yeah, but I gotta tell you. Oh, what? I'll talk to you later." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I don't know what that is." So then he's still packing up his stuff, ready to go. And then they got an outplacement officer, which is just someone who stands there and is like, "Well, you got fired. How does it feel?" "It feels like crap." "Oh man, that sucks." Excuse me? You gotta hurry up and go. I mean, it's just completely useless title, whatever. I was just like, it's not really necessary, but okay.
Say that.
So then we go and we cut to his wife, Carol, who, she's talking about getting a promotion. She's talking to her boss and all that other stuff, whatever. And they put this god awful wig on her. This short,
you ain't lying.
Not bob, but it's one of those short cuts that just go all the way around. And I was just like one of those complete even cuts. And I was like, this wig is really bad. Like, why did we even give her this wig? Okay. I'm sure Tracy Ellis Ross has some pretty hair. I've seen her in Girlfriends and I watched every episode. Okay. So I'm not understanding why y'all gave her this janky looking wig, but I digress. Now we cut a scene to Eddie Murphy's character, Chris. And he's back at home. He's miserable because he and his wife has to go really right across the street. Not even down the street, but right across the street to the neighbor with the blow up dolls. And they go over there, just to talk, have some box wine and stuff like that. So he's over here sad. He's over here looking at paint dry, essentially. And then she comes down and then he's like, okay, well, I gotta go and tell her. He's looking at all his Christmas memories that he's had with his family. And he's like, well, I gotta tell her that I got fired. I tried to tell her earlier, but she didn't listen. And then he's about to open his mouth and she's like, you don't have the red wine. I want red wine. Oh my God, you didn't get it. Now I have to drink that god awful box wine. I was like, and let's keep it real. It's like this one box wine called like Frenzia or something like that. Moscato, that stuff is actually really good, okay? So let's not trip on the box wine, okay? But she's like, oh, I just can't. And then he's just like, babe, I got fired. She's like, oh. And I was like, she was just doing a little too much. They had her like extra, just like, extra exaggerated, really for no reason to me. But then they start talking and he was like, I don't want to tell the kids because this may be the last Christmas, like as a family in the financial state that we're in. Okay. Because let's keep it real. They're in a nice house. They had a nice pool in the backyard. They got a nice big yard. Okay. So let's not pretend like this is a small house. They making money. Okay. We then cut to a scene with these two news anchors, y'all. It's a black chick and a white dude. And I was just kind of like, I was liking the white dude. I like the white dude for the most part. The black chick, she was doing too much. Okay. So she is just like, oh my God, and we're going to have this beautiful Christmas festival. And oh my goodness, it's going to be lights and it's amazing. And he's just like, yeah, we're going to have a Christmas festival and we're going to air it on, GCI or whatever, But she was just going above, okay? So as they're talking on the news, they say there's going to be a grand prize of $100,000. So Eddie hears it, okay? And like I said, he's at the neighbor's house, and it's like a neighborhood kind of block party kind of thing because everyone's out. So he's over there, and everyone hears like, "Oh, it's gonna be $100,000," and everyone's like, "Oh man, I think I'm getting sick. I need to go home." So everyone disperses and goes home, and he's like, "Yo, $100,000. This is the grand prize. This will really help me out, right?" No, because he just lost his job. But I'm just like, $100,000 is a significant amount of money, but that ain't. I mean, you got your wife, your two daughters, and your son. I'm like, that seems like a lot of people for just $100,000, but whatever. So it's for the house lighting competition. So everyone hears it, they all disperse, whatever. So he then goes home, everyone goes home, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna put it all in for this event. I'm not gonna just be doing wood carvings. I'm gonna be doing lights and everything. So then all the other kids go to school. The wife goes to work, but the little girl, okay? And I believe her name is Holly, if I'm not mistaken. I think her name is Holly and the older sister is Joy. But this little girl, she goes with her dad because he's like, yeah, we ain't going to school. We got a competition to win. Okay. So they do this montage, which I thought was kind of cute, where they go to Walmart, they see everyone about to punch each other in the face, like bow, 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 over Christmas supplies. And then they keep walking, and then the next store, I believe, is Costco. Everyone's, do it. And then they go to Target, and Valentine's stuff is already out. So I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was cute. So they're driving around. They're like, man, we need supplies. We need supplies because they need to get Christmas lights, bows, ribbons. We need outdoor decorations. And there's none in any of these stores. So they're driving around. And then they see this store called Kringle. And this is like under like a viaduct, it's in such an awkward place where it's like, okay, nothing's really there, but whatever. So they see it, and the daughter's like, stop, let's go there. So then the dad's like, all right, cool. Goes in there. This place is magnificent. This place is gorgeous. It's really beautiful. I was like, oh wow, this place is really pretty. Okay. Or greeted by her rather. And she's like, so, and literally she's like this weird, exaggerating, weird, creepy. Those are the vibes that she's giving off. Okay. She's like, oh, so what are you guys looking for? Are you guys looking for Christmas stuff? Oh, this is the right place for you. Oh, and I even help you out with a nice tree and some decoration. So what say you? And she's doing all this other stuff. And then they're like, well, you can help me. So they find all the supplies they need, whatever. Now it's time to check out. It's like $494, pretty much $500, which I guessed before I even seen it. I was like, yeah, this is like about $500 worth of stuff. Okay. So one of the items that he purchased was this 12 Days of Christmas big tree. Okay. And this thing is like in a tuna can container. Then you open it up or whatever, and it's 12 Days of Christmas. So obviously the first day of Christmas, my tree look good to me. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way down to 12, all the way at the bottom. And it's a wooden kind of thing. Okay. And this thing, it's cute. I like it. I thought it was really cute. So this is one of the items that he did purchase. Okay. And then she gives him this very, 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 very long receipt. I was like, yeah, just sign it. It's not like you're signing your life away. Okay. And then he was like, yeah, of course not. It's not like I'm signing my life away. Okay, Chris Carver. And then everything just stops or whatever. Because before he was going to sign it, it was like all of the, animatronics and toys and birds in the room just started making noise, and then she was like, shh, and then shut everything up, and then he signed it, and then it was like this whole kind of stuff going on, and I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, what's going on? So he then leaves, and he has this big, the 12 Days of Christmas tree on top of his SUV. And this thing is massive. Like when I say 12, this is as big as a car, like width wise, almost. Anyways, puts it on his car. Then him and his daughter head home. Then he, drops it on the floor or whatever. Now here's the thing: there was a turtle dove in there, and the instructions said, "Make a wish." He said, I want this to be the best Christmas, and I want to win this thing. He opens up the tree, and the tree is massive. This thing is huge, yo. I don't even know how many feet tall it is. That's how freaking huge it was. I guess you would say like 20 feet or something like that. Probably even bigger than that. It was huge. So then we go back to the newscasters and whatever. So after this happens, boom, because I believe it was that night is when the house lighting competition is supposed to take place. So they had to hurry up and get the stuff going so we could go and be nominated for this, right? Or be entered in it at least. So now we go back to newscasters, black chick being annoying still, okay, and the white dude is just like, okay, what are we doing here? So then we see this internet comedian, which I recognize. I never knew his name, but his name is DJ Young Fly. Okay, he's some kind of internet comedian. I seen his stuff. I thought it was mediocre at best, but he's on here. And he's just annoying. And I was like, okay. He's just really annoying. There's a part where he's like, oh, man, y'all throwing eggs out here, man. I could stay in the hood. I was like, okay. All right. He starts dancing. And I was like, okay, dude. We ain't got time. Okay. So now it is the house lighting ceremony because it's nighttime and he's introducing it and all that stuff. Okay. So essentially what you have is you have a marching band, you have a Santa on a sleigh, and every house he points to, you're supposed to plug in your little thing. And then that's how, you light your house up. Boom. People rate it. Oh, it's cute. Whatever. Let's keep it moving. And then next house. So now we get over to Chris's house. And I'm like, okay, this shit should have already, excuse me. I'm like, this stuff should be done and ready. He's fumbling and bubbling, looking for chords. He's like, oh, and then it finally goes to his house, and he's like, shh, nothing happens. And they're like, oh, man. He's like, no, no, no. Then he's fumbling, bumbling. And then I was like, okay, why wasn't this stuff already done prior? But whatever. Because by the time y'all went to the grocery store, not grocery store, but by the time y'all went to the store to get all this Christmas supplies, it had to have been 9, 10 in the morning at most. Okay, I'm like, it should have been really around 9 that y'all did what y'all were doing. And this looks like it's about 8. So what were y'all doing all day? But
right,
whatever. Okay. So now we get to the fact that he put it in the second time and everything lit up, in the tree. You don't, I mean, you see it, but it's one of those kind of shots where they have it on the person's face and then you just see a whole bunch of lights, but you don't really see it until later. And the tree lights up, whatever, everyone's just blown away. Okay. So now we skip to the next day. He wakes up, Chris, he wakes up and he's getting these prank phone calls. He's like, what is this? What is going on? He goes outside to the tree and he sees the ornaments, first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me, 12th day of Christmas, blah, blah, and all that. All the ornaments are taken out. It's like someone cut them out. And he's like, what's this? Right? So then he's over here accusing his neighbor and all that. His wife is like, Chris, come to the backyard. He sees swans in the backyard, right? I mean, they're in the pool. And she's like, Chris, why would you have swans? He's like, I didn't do that. Oh, I know you did. Why would you have swans here? We can't have swans. Oh, it's so disgusting. And get him out of here. I'm thinking, lady, this is your husband. And you talking to him like he chopped liver or something. Like, if he said he didn't do it, why would you then say, oh, no, you didn't? Like, well, he just told you he didn't do it. So I was just like, okay, whatever with that. So now... So now we skip to another scene where you have the wife, okay? And Carol, she's heading to work because she's like, oh, I got this big presentation I got to do so I could hopefully get a promotion. She gets out her car, and this is where everything is really in full gear. The swans were number one step, but everything else, this is... She gets out of her car, you have these geese flying in the air, and from their their junk area, you know what I mean, they're shooting... Now this stuff was funny. They're shooting eggs out of their junk, and they're like doing this pelvic thrust, and like, ugh. And then throw eggs at her. That was hilarious to me. I thought that was so funny, just the way that it looked like, just the way it looked. It was like this pelvic thrust, just throwing spitting eggs out and everything. And she's like, what's going on or whatever. So then we cut back to Chris with the husband and his daughter, Holly. Okay, that's the one that he went with earlier. She obviously ain't going to school the next day. And he's like, well, let's go back to the store so we can look for replacement parts. They go over there, and Pepper, she's being all extra weird, and she was like, oh, no. Oh, what was your wish for on the pigeon, huh? What did you wish for on that dove, huh? And then he was like, really, nothing, really. I mean, I just followed instructions or whatever. Oh, you did? Then he was like, well, can I get some replacement parts? No, we don't do those here. Oh, and I was like, okay, girl. You're just doing too much for me. And then she's like, oh, I have another customer. I was like, okay, whatever. So then she goes to the next customer, and then this whole time, now we see a figurine. Okay, it's like this Christmas house and a thing or whatever. And these little figurines, they start talking. So while Pepper's over there preoccupied with the other customer, now you have 5 carolers, 1 Hispanic chick, 1 black dude, and 1 white dude with a top hat. And they're like, they're giving him the rap. They're like, what did you guys try to do this for? And tarra. And then he's like, well, we're here so we could get replacement parts. And he's like, oh no, you got to complete challenges because, he was saying, had some weird stuff happen or whatever. And he was like, oh, you got to complete challenges because if you don't, you're going to turn into me, essentially, like a figurine. That's essentially what's going on. Okay. So if Eddie Murphy does not complete getting these challenges, in this case would be 5 rings or your rings, then if you don't complete it by a certain time, you will turn into a figurine. That's essentially what's going to happen. So one line I thought was interesting before we continue is the top hat dude. He said, I've been eating nothing but chestnuts for 10 years. And then I'm like, okay, because he mentioned something later and he's talking about how his mama knew Charles Dickens. And I'm like, well, how old are you, dude? You mean you've been eating chestnuts for 10 years? You're old. I don't get it, but whatever. That math didn't make any sense. Okay, so here's the main story. Like I said, Chris has to go and get these rings or he will turn into a figurine. Okay. But here's the thing. When Chris signed that receipt, signing your life away, when he signed that receipt that was saying, I agree to this. That's essentially what that is. Okay. And they're saying, okay, you got to go ahead and, complete these things or you're going to be stuck like this, whatever. Okay. They don't say that at that moment, but that's what's going on. Then Pepper pops up out of nowhere and then the figurines all stop moving. She's like, oh, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, I'm admiring your figurines. It's so lifelike. Oh, interesting choice of words. And she's just doing, just all with the facial expression, just doing too much. Now they get into the car, Holly and Chris, they get into the car. And then you see, then a freaking bird comes out, and it's another bird right across from it and it has a ring. And Holly's like, go get a ring. Then he was like, I'm not doing it. She was like, well, just do it. Just try it. So he gets the ring and then the birds turn into a wooden statue thing. It just turns into a wooden carving. And now the whole thing is like this. Okay, well, I guess you're gonna have to now get all the rings. Like, really nothing more to it. The story is so simple, y'all. there's really nothing else to it. So then Chris calls Carol, and Carol, she's so preoccupied by her work, she ain't really listen to him. He's trying to tell her about everything, and she's just like, oh, yeah, baby, I gotta go, though. And it's like, okay, wait, all right. So then Pepper, she goes and arrives at Carol's job. And she just sets these birds loose up in there, yo. And then they just start wreaking havoc or whatever. This whole presentation Carol's supposed to be having, it's all trash now because who wants to, because she just was acting bizarre and she pretty much just ruined her chance of a promotion. Okay. So now we see, and then they end up getting the ring, whatever. So now we cut to a scene where Chris and Holly, they then go back to the Kringle store, okay? Because Pepper's gone and Pepper was wreaking havoc there. So then they just dip and they went back to the Kringle store. And then they're talking to the figurines and then they end up stealing them, okay? So they're like, okay, let's just take you with us so you can help us, find these rings and figure out what's going on. We could talk to you. But then you hear of the different missions that other people had to do. So for Chris, it's finding rings. For the black dude... He had to do a Die Hard mission, which was crazy to me. The Hispanic lady, she had to find gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and she couldn't find any of that. I forgot what the other dude had to do, but whatever. So they end up stealing these figurines, have them in a car, bring them home. Now they're at the crib. The kids eventually find out that the dad got laid off from his job, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, you got laid off!" And then they keep it moving. Okay, and then we find out because what ends up happening is everyone gets home. We have Chris and Holly already downstairs anyways, and they bring them down there to see the rest of the figurines. Okay, so now everyone's seen the rest of the figurines. That's how they find out, like, oh man, Dad, you lost your job and all that. And then you find out, which was kind of cute, everyone's named after like a Christmas something. Okay, for example, you have the daughter, youngest one, her name is Holly. The mother, Carol. Our main character, Eddie Murphy. Chris, his son, Nick. The daughter, Joy. You know what I mean? So I thought it was really cute. So then Chris tells his family, I got to get these rings, or it's going to be some ish happening. Okay. We don't know everything that's going on, but all I know is I got to get these rings. Okay. And they were like, well, what did you wish for? You said you had a wish. And he was like, well, I wish so I could win this $100,000 and win this competition. And so the kids, they're like, you didn't wish for world peace, ending hunger, ending homelessness. You wish to get this 100,000. I thought that was kind of cute because I was like, yeah, that is true. You could have wished for $10 million in a bank account tomorrow, but you didn't do that. But whatever. So now we go and skip ahead a little bit, and now everyone's like, okay, we got to have a game plan. What are we going to do now? You got the whole family kind of involved in this. Okay. And one line I thought was hilarious was the mother, Carol, she would have said, in horror movies we don't split up because anytime someone splits up they die and da da. And then the black figurine, he says black people always die first in horror movies and all y'all black. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, that is very true. Then the daughter says, oh, I have a track meet tomorrow, though I can't miss it because a scout from USC is going to be there. And really it's Notre Dame, but she didn't tell her family the truth. And then like, oh man, well, we got to do that. So that's going to be the plan for the next day. But at night, the daughter, little Holly, she goes and puts in the alarm. Because then it cuts to a scene where she puts in the alarm code or whatever, and she goes down the street to deliver some mail with the guy with the top hat. And I'm like, okay, I'm confused because how did no one hear this? But I was like, okay, whatever. Okay. Because I know if someone turned on the alarm or not. Okay, so whatever. But that happens. And then the guy with the top hat, he goes and says, like I mentioned earlier, that Charles Dickens, he called him Charlie Dickens, his mother knew his mother knew his mother. I was like, well, how old are you, dude? Because you gotta be old. Okay. And the way he was dressed, I was like, you have to be old, but whatever. So now we go and cut to a scene. The rest, everyone's at the track meet, but the figurines, they are at no. So then after the mail is delivered and we come back to the house, everyone's safe and sound in the house. Then we got to a scene where Pepper, she just goes and breaks into the house. And I was like, okay. The house is there. It's like the garage basement area. I think it's more like a basement. She just goes and breaks in. And I'm like, okay, so the alarm didn't go off. Nothing went off. Even when she went into Carol's job, I was like, okay, so no alarms are going off. No one's questioning, who is this woman? Nothing. No, we're just going to let people come in the house. So then she's looking for the figurines so she'll take them off. I was like, okay, this should be easy peasy, right? So as she's looking, then she starts singing the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song. And these carolers, like 5 carolers, they cannot resist the urge to sing. That's like their curse. They have to sing. So then they start singing and give up their location. And I was like, oh man, what's going to happen? So then Pepper, she hears them. And then she just goes like this. And she's like, okay, well, it's time for me to go. I'm like, so what was the whole point? This is what I'm talking about. We could have cut some stuff out of this movie. Because I was like, well, what was the whole point of you even coming in here if all you're going to do is just look around? The evidence is right here. You're looking for the pen. The pen is right here. And you're just like, later for that. So I was like, okay, I don't really see what the point of you actually just chilling. I mean, why'd you even come in here? And what was the whole point of trying to engage if they gave away the location? And you tell me out of 8 figurines, you can't get one? I was like, I don't really see what the point of this is. I just thought that was kind of stupid. So now we are at the track meet, okay? We got Chris, the dad. He's getting these prank calls again. The daughter's like, these are calling birds, okay? And like, there must be rings. The mom being annoying, doing her stuff or whatever. We find out Nick, the son, is a dummy because he wants to be a musician. He's like, I do tuba and this and that and that third, but you can't even pass math. I was like, yeah, dude, you're a dummy. Just, what are we even doing? So now we skip to the son. He goes to go and play some music. Okay, later for him, he ends up getting in a fight with the cow and milk and all this. He ends up getting a ring at the end. Okay, so that happens, whatever. Now our main focus is really on the track meet itself. So then we get to the point where the daughter, she starts taking off running for her track meet. And then we cut to a scene where Pepper, she's over here messing around because she's about to conjure up these Lords of Leaping dudes, and she has them there. And she's like, well, I know a lot about sports. She's like, one of the famous basketball players, Michael B. Jordan. I was like, okay. And then she was like, the three heavy hitters, Lay, Bron, and James. And then she said, and Tiger Wolves. I was like, okay, that's cute. I thought that was funny. So then she conjures up these Lords of Leaping dudes with these, they're jumping and they got the little staffs or whatever. And they just appear on the track field. And then when they appear, some people are like, oh, what? And then they just keep it moving. This is supposed to be here. And I was like, okay, I don't think this is supposed to be here, but I guess nobody else is curious. Okay, I guess we're just gonna pretend like this is normal. So then they come on here, they're doing all this running. The girls are still running, by the way. Now they're over here fighting. They get in front of, what's her name? Joy, one of them, and he's trying to do some kind of parkour stuff. So she's having to dodge him and steal his ring. She ends up stealing his ring from him. And then the other ones that were circling around the dad, they end up dropping and all this. And I'm like, all this is happening on the track field and nobody is looking like, okay, this ain't normal. Oh, okay, whatever. No one really seemed surprised because at the end, they seen a scout it was for Notre Dame, but they thought it was USC. And he was like, well, I seen 20 infractions and violations and this and that. And he was like, her running isn't good. I'm thinking, did you not see all of this stuff that was going on? And no one stopped it? Okay. I was like, whatever. It didn't make any sense to me. Oh, we're back at the house. Okay. Now everybody's mad at the dad. I'm like, what did this man do to y'all? So we see the son, he's mad because he was like, I know how you feel about losers and I'm a loser in math, so it's your fault, Dad. And I'm thinking, I can't help that you're an idiot. I can't help that, boo. You got them worn out mallets that need to be rethreaded. By the way, I have rethreaded mallets before, okay? But I'm like, you got these worn out mallets that seriously need to be rethreaded. One. And you over here talking about, well, I want to be a musician and do all this, but you can't even do basic math, boy. I was like, whatever. And then the daughter, Joy, she would kill all the joy.
Say that.
She's over here acting so privileged. She's like, I just want to get away from you. I don't want to go to USC, which is only 20 minutes away. I don't want this. And then the brother, he's like, oh, all this Christmas stuff, this is for you. And I'm like, wait, where did all this come from, y'all? I'm confused because we weren't talking about any of this before. So I was so confused. They just made it seem like the dad, Christmas was only his thing. And the dad was like, well, Joy, she's not really into it anyways, and she's almost out the door. Nick, he ain't even into Christmas like that at all. He said Holly's the only one that's really interested in it. Really, Carol, she's so absorbed with her work. It's like, well, you know what I mean? She'll get down with the festivities, but she's so absorbed with her work. But the kids, they end up ganging on them like, oh, well, it's you, Dad. And I'm thinking, when did this happen? But I digress, okay? So then we end up in the basement. And the dad, he says, essentially, if I don't find these rings, I'm turning into a figurine. And everyone's like, oh! And I'm like, y'all. He's like, well, I just thought I could do everything by myself. And I don't know where that came from, considering the fact that you needed Holly, your little girl, to help you with the rings. And then y'all were at the track meet and y'all worked together as a team. But now you're saying that you don't want to do it solo and you want to work as a team. But I don't know. I was like, okay, this doesn't make any sense to me. But whatever. Some of this movie didn't make any sense at all. A lot of it didn't, okay? Now, after he goes and opens up his heart, pours it out on him. Then Carol, she's like, you know what? The mother, she's like, let's make a game plan to get this pepper. So then they do the whole thing or whatever. So now we cut to the next day, or it was nighttime, whatever. So now the whole neighborhood, they're all outside, chilling, kiki, and whatever. We see the two news anchors again, Black Chick annoying as usual. So then The white anchor, he's like, yeah. So we have the prize is going to be $100,000, and she was like, no, it's not. And he was like, what do you mean it's not? She's like, no, it's gonna be prizes equal to $100,000. So it's not even. They claim it was 100 grand you're gonna win, but it's not even 100 grand you're gonna win. It's prizes. It is like Tony's Tacos. Who wants $100,000 worth of Tony's Taco? But whatever. So then you see the family. They're in like this little slow mo kind of walk thing, whatever. And Holly, she's dressed up as a little angel and everything. So then you have Holly, she's an angel, and they're on like the big tree platform. It's her and other kids. They're singing some Christmas song. Like, do you see what I see? Whatever. She has binoculars all the way at the top, and then she's like, do you see what I see? And doing all that. And I'm thinking, no one is looking at you like, why does this girl got binoculars? No one's looking like, okay, what does she see? Nothing. I was like, there's a lot of that in this movie where it's like, are y'all all seeing what I'm seeing? But whatever. Okay, they end up getting, long story short, they end up getting Pepper, and they lure her into this little trap thing. Okay, so now she's in the trap, and Chris gets a ring from her necklace, and like, boom, now we got it, last ring, boom, we're good to go. Yes. Boo, what you gonna do now? And she's like, oh, no. Ooh, I'm cheating. Whatever. David Alec Greer, he pops up. He's Santa Claus. Okay. And everyone's shocked. Black Anchor. She said, oh my God, Black Santa. Now, this was a funny scene. Because when he pops up, the Black Anchor goes back to them. She's like, oh my God, Black Santa. And the white dude, he said, I only see Santa. So then she goes and says, well, what color is that nutcracker? And he says white. And she looks at the camera like, bruh. Okay, come on, let's keep it real. Well, I'm not even going to get into all this on that. But that ends up happening. I thought that was a pretty funny line, okay? So now we find out that Pepper, while she's in her little trap, they get her down or whatever. You find out that Pepper changed the rules to make it not 5 rings, but 40 that they got to find. Y'all, it's a whole hot mess that's going on. And it's just, so then Chris is like, okay, well, Santa, can't you do like an overrule, something void contract? I can't. I mean, you sign the receipt and that's the I'm like, just being Captain Useless. So then he's like, okay, whatever. So then now Bird's got all these rings and stuff. So now they got to get the rings and they're scrambling. Then Chris is like, Santa, can't you do something? He was like, fine, let me go and do this. Here, see, rings are falling. I'm like, why are you, you're Santa Claus. You over here make it seem like I'm bothering you, like this was going out of your way or something. Like you flew here. I didn't tell you to come here. So I was like, okay, whatever with that. We see everybody doing a little thing, and then Joy, the daughter runner, she ends up getting the ring from a bird, however, and then it turns into wood, because anytime you get a ring from something, it turns into wood, except for Pepper. And then it's about to hit this black lady, and then she's like, oh no. And she didn't do it, y'all. She like she like barely jogged over there. She went like this, and then like barely moved the lady. And the lady was like, oh, thank you for saving me. And then she was like, you're fast. And she was like, yeah, that's kind of my thing. And then she was like, you know what? Here's my card because I'm a scout. I was like, can we just finish this movie? This movie's like 2 hours long, okay? 2 hours and some minutes. It's 2 hours and 2 minutes or something. I was like, this movie is long, y'all. Can we come on? This really is like an hour and a half worth of material. So I was like, come on, let's keep it going. So then you see everything that happens. Then there's this random, so then that happens. And then you see Pepper. She goes into the basement of the house or whatever, and she starts forwarding the time on the clock by like 5 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, well, and then, you hear the clock go off, and they're like, but we still have time, we have fun. I'm like, well, why don't y'all just go back and rewind it 12 hours so you can have enough time to do what you got to do? Right? Wouldn't that, okay, there's too much logic, okay. And then you see the figurines, and I'm like, well, why couldn't y'all just rewind it 12 hours or something to help them out a little? No, we're not doing that. Okay, whatever. So then we cut to another scene where there's like this drum line, battle of the bands, whatever, that was completely unnecessary. Okay, I didn't even think. I mean, it was kind of cute, but it was completely unnecessary. We could have cut this out. Okay, chop, 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 because you have these drum line members where essentially it's the snare drum and they got a ring. You know, it's like one has a ring here and the other one has a ring over here, and they're like, he's like the son, Nick, he's like, oh, let me grab it. And then every time he grabs it, you know, their stick goes here, you know. So, oh, you can't get it. You know, it's like, hey, get it. Oh, you're too slow. You know, it's one of those things. I was like, okay. Y'all, this move's too long. So then he tells his drumline band or whatever, he's like, oh, I need y'all to come up here and we need to get close to him so I could, and I was like, okay. So then they do a little drum, boom, 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 boom. And then he's like, the drum major, he's like, this is the closest we can get. You gotta get him. You gotta get him now. This is the last time. And then he's like, okay. And then, so then the son comes up to the other team's drum line. And it's like he just literally walks up, snatches, takes the ring, and then they all turn into wood, right? I was just looking like, okay, did we really need a drum off? Couldn't we have just walked over there and grabbed him? Oh no, but the sticks were in the way. And you said, don't you have another hand? Move the other stick. No, we don't. Okay. So that happened. So now, because Pepper, then we skip over to the daddy. She forwarded the time. Now he turns into a figurine. Whatever. Now he's trying to get these things, whatever. He ends up getting his stuff and getting some rings or whatever. And he goes and tells, you know, his kids and his family all this. He's like, Joy, go to any college you want. I love you. Nick, your music is great, even though you're a dummy in math, you know, but you do you, boo. Holly, keep up the spirit of Christmas. Keep it alive, girl. And Carol, you're gonna have to just go on without me and just marry somebody else. Okay. And I was just like, okay. So then Carol, she pleads to Santa to help the wife. She goes and says, can you please help him? Please, look at him. Look at my husband, you know. And then he was like, well, how many rings do you have? 38. Now the son is a math genius because he knows how to add 2 plus 2. But he says 38. So then they're like, oh, well, you're down by two rings. And what's her name? And Pepper was like, oh, you're down by 2 rings. Well, what are you going to do? You don't have the other 2. And then Santa, David Allen Greer, he's like, well, what's that on your finger? Oh, my marriage ring. And then you look at what's his fucking name? What's his name? Then you look at Chris. And he was like, what do you have on yours? Oh, it's my marriage ring, my wedding band. And I was like, okay, we have 40. Okay. So now he turns into a human, back to human, whatever. But here's the thing that I didn't understand. If you already had 38 plus 1 and plus 1, and that's 40, well, why, once you got 38, why didn't you just automatically turn back? I don't get that. That was the same thing I had for Alice in Borderland. Because, okay, well, here, it didn't make any sense. Because if you already have it, then you have it. And over there, it didn't make any sense. Because there was this one scene in Alice in Borderland. There was a scene where they were at like a bus or whatever. And it said 0. And they're like, okay, we gotta go to another destination. And they kept running to the other side. And the numbers just kept increasing. And I'm like, what's going on? They're not going down. What's happening? And they're like, oh, it's because the beginning was the end. Then everyone's trekking back and whatever. Then they're like, it is the end. And then they're like, oh, you guys won this competition. I was like, wait, hold up. If I was already here, now I have to acknowledge that I'm here, but I'm already here. It's like saying, okay, are you at work? I just pulled up to the job or whatever. Oh, yeah, but you didn't acknowledge that you were at work. So did you really clock in? What? I'm here. So that's why I didn't like that show either. Okay. It was just too much. Okay. You had to have photographic memory to remember to win the first one, but whatever, later for that. But now we're on here. So now they're big. He's big. And you find out that Holly, when she went with the dude with the top hat, he was like, okay, have a Christmas wish or whatever. And you find out that she had a wish to, make them all regular size again, all the figurines. So now they're all regular size. And Pepper, she's like, Santa's like, well, Pepper, I could take you to the North Pole with me, whatever. He ends up turning her to a figurine. That's what ends up happening, whatever. So then everyone goes, they dip, except for the top hat dude. Okay, so the rest of the people, carolers, all that, they all go to the North Pole and he drops them off, whatever. Top hat dude, he just goes a separate way, whatever. Now we skip to Christmas Day. Okay, fleece jacket that Chris got from being laid off. He gave it to his neighbor or whatever. He, ha ha, kiki. Then Carol, she ended up getting a promotion, which I don't get because her demonstration and what she did wasn't good. So whatever with that. All right, top hat guy, he comes and he's like, I don't want to be alone for Christmas. And they're like, oh, you can come. And I'm thinking, this dude doesn't have any family. When was he alive? I mean, were you alive 1800s or something? I mean, I don't know when you were alive, dude. So I'm like, you don't have any family. So I don't know. Okay. They just left that there like, yeah, I mean, but he's going to spend Christmas. I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't have any family, y'all. Everyone's gone. But whatever. All right. So that ends up happening. They have tacos for Christmas because they got the Tony's tacos. And then that really is it. I mean, that's how it ends. I'm going to be real, y'all. This movie was, to me, oh God, if I have to rate it out of 5, I'm probably going to give it like a 2. It's cute in some parts. It's entirely too long. There should have been an hour and a half. They didn't have an additional 30 minutes worth of material. Okay. It really should have been an hour and a half and we should have just kept it moving. But I mean, it was that the whole fact that people were just being so oblivious to what was going on. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we see, we got our javelin dudes just appearing, Lords of Leaping, just appearing out of nowhere. And people are like, man, that's crazy. All right, let's continue with the running. It's like, y'all don't, they're interfering on no, we're not going to notice. No. Okay. Good. The sun, he's a, well, I don't want to be a loser in your eyes when I'm a loser in math. I'm thinking, okay, dude, you're an idiot who doesn't even know basic math. That's on you, dude. And let's keep it real. These people are living in a nice house. They got money. Okay. So let's not pretend like you ain't getting good education. You're just wanting to be selfish and be a dummy. Okay. That's on you, boo. I don't care if you don't use the stuff in your adulthood, but at least make decent grades. Even if you made a C on it, fine. But I mean, you're over here failing. You're failing. You ain't putting in effort. That's what that is. So to me, I was just like, okay. So everything else, I mean, like I said, it's about a 2 because this movie is not, it's cute, but it's not where it should be. But let me know if you all seen this video, and let me know what your thoughts are down below. Hello. I hope you enjoyed the video. I would appreciate if you could leave a comment down below, and also do not forget to like and subscribe. I would also appreciate if you could support me at latricelimited.com. This is my own personal small business where I sell bath and body wellness items, such as I have bath bombs, I have soaps, candles, essential oil blends, sleep eye masks, and a whole bunch more. I'm actually going to show you 2 featured products. So this one is my candle. Okay, this is my vanilla wood wick candle. As you can see, there's wood in there and it gives a nice crackling sound. It's like a bonfire, campfire, but in your house, yo. Smells so freaking good. This, my sweet roses, are my top scents for me personally. I also have soap. So this one right here is this nice cool water soap that I have. It's more of a masculine, sexy scent. So I would greatly appreciate if you could go and support me. And now I hope you have a good day.